Clips thing.
How do you feel about the job Great Clips did?
They did fantastic. I'm always a fan of the Great Clips. That's where I go.
I think they've got more information on me now than Facebook, Twitter, and Google put together.
So you're not worried about
they had me down when I walked in there.
You're not worried about your privacy when it comes to those things.
Well, that's how it starts. I just got off the phone. I decided I'd answer a phone call here because it said, I think
scam likely.
No, I think it said Duke Energy. Okay, and they never call. They're not going to call. And it's some guy in Bangladesh or something. Worst accent ever. How long have you had your cooling and heating system? I said, why? We have a free inspection. I said, well, I don't need a free inspection because I actually pay somebody to come out twice a year and look. And of course, it doesn't deter them because they're on the script. So they keep going. They keep going.
What if I told you? No, you can't do that. Sound terrible. All right. Are you shared up?
I would be if I would have done anything to initiate that, but I didn't. So. Tonight, I want to talk about this. There's going to be 2 football games, but they're not back to back.
It's not what they call a half hour. It's not a doubleheader.
I don't get that. I don't get that. How am I supposed to watch a game that starts an hour and a half after the first one?
It's like
I don't know how
Disney doesn't know what they're doing. Disney has no idea what they're doing.
I just that is completely foreign to me. I don't know how that's going to work.
Now, did you get to see the Raiders lose in the most embarrassing way fashion, like America did yesterday?
Yes, I did.
At least, again, the entire country didn't have to see it. Oh, wait a minute. Everyone saw it. That's good. The guy who fumbled the ball.
What's his name? Fucking Kyler.
No, we had him.
Passed. That's one of the great passes in the history of passes ever, wasn't it?
We had them beaten. They were ours.
Oh, I know, but and I didn't watch the whole game. I turned it on by accident, as I thought 60 minutes was about to be, and so that's and there it was, and that pass was just that pass still doesn't look like it could be completed after you saw 9 angles of it.
Well, the good news is the guy who fumbled the ball is now in the concussion protocol, so he's got an excuse. He was probably knocked out. That's probably why he lost the ball, at least the second time. Hunter Renfrow, Clemson.
And I did see the end of the Miami game. Holy
crap,
that was unbelievable.
Well, that's Tua's a made man now.
I've said this very often. You can never count a team out at halftime when they're down. They can come back.
That's correct. They do play 2 halves in the National Football League, which the Raiders were not aware of until.
Except when it's your favorite team, then they never come back. Right?
Exactly.
That never happens with the good guys, right? Okay. Here we go. It is the Brad and Britt cast. We got ourselves a full lineup of 4 big ones this week. Every day, we will be here every day for you. We go live in the 1:38 hour.
Yeah, we get there.
Eastern
We get there
time.
eventually.
We get there. We had something unplugged. That's how stupid we are.
We lived and died, when we were in the radio business, we lived and died by the clock. You got to be here. You got to do this. You got to shout up here. And we don't do that anymore. That's not a thing for us anymore.
No. So you did not ask me over the weekend via text or anything. Did I subject myself Saturday night to the latest Trump rally? And of course, I'm asking you to ask me now. Go ahead.
Well, I think you offered via text with me and John the Catholic. I think you just kind of spontaneously offered that you did check it out.
Well, TV it, podcast it, pretend I didn't do that.
No, Brad, what happened over the weekend? Did you happen to see the big J.D. Vance rally in Ohio?
None of your business. No. I did what I did a couple weeks ago when he did one in Pennsylvania, which is we had the Trump rally on the big TV, the 55-incher, which I guess today 55 inches is not considered a big. It's yesterday's big TV, but it's good enough for us. And then I put the Ohio State game on in the little iPad so I could watch that. There were not a lot of tension there. They ran all over the team they were playing, Toledo, but we could only take about 40 minutes this time of Trump, and then we tapped out. It was just too much.
40 minutes is a freaking lot.
It's a lot, but look, you can only hear the greatest hits so many times,
right?
Before you just want to tear your hair out. He's just losing his mind. Just gets crazier and crazier, each time that he's there. And it wasn't until it was over that I started to read about what he did in the last 10 minutes, which that's really the story. In addition to the fact that the place was not full at all. This was a minor league hockey arena in Youngstown. That's almost the punchline to a joke, to the end of a career of anyone in show business, right? Where are you playing? Where are you playing? You used to play Giant Stadium. You used to play every. I'm at the Mahoning Valley Red Raiders minor league. They're minus triple Z. We're going to be there Saturday night. How many people does that hold? A couple thousand, something like that. And he couldn't fill that up. So that was part of the story. But the other part was in the last 10 minutes, he added, and this is a Trump production because remember, he is a media genius. You always have to pretend that he is the greatest media genius. He knows so much. He's brilliant. He's beyond anything we've ever seen. The most media savvy guy ever, right? The Apprentice and blah, blah, blah. Right. Yep. Go with it. Pretend that's true.
Right.
Okay. And he decides that while he is speaking for the last 10 minutes, which is just him staring into the teleprompter, reading off 10 minutes of malaise, everything that's ever been wrong with America, which, by the way, he mentioned 90% of this throughout the speech. That's the killer thing about going to a Trump rally. You have to, at some point, pretend you're not hearing something at minute 45 that you didn't hear in minute 10 or an hour and 5, because he just repeats. He has no new material, just goes to the same subjects over and over and over again. And wait a minute, Brad, that's his genius. He just repeats things so people start to take them in. You don't understand, do you? I understand perfectly. But the last 10 minutes was clearly just a prepared laundry list of everything. The airports don't work. Nobody can flush a toilet. The world doesn't respect it. But on and on and on and on. And he reads it so staccato. And this music starts to play in the background. And I did not notice this again, till later in the evening when it was brought to my attention by reading about it. Now, what was it? What was that music? Listen to it. It sounded kind of creepy. It sounded like the music you might hear in a Dracula movie or those old 1930s Universal monster films. Are very dark, a lot of strings, a lot of weight to them. And what I want to do, Britt, is I want to play a little bit of that, and then let you know that after that, I'm going to play a little clip from something that he put out 1 month ago, not as a live event, but as a quote unquote Trump campaign commercial. Not that he's running, but this is kind of crap that he puts out. And he uses the same music behind that actually produced piece. And then it shows up live on stage Saturday night. This is Youngstown, Ohio. Let me get the right one here. It's this one. Here we go. It's kind of hard to hear because this is not direct from the feed. I know this is somebody who was recording it, but you might be able to hear it in the background. Listen to Trump.
There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet.
Can you hear any of the music behind him?
Not really.
We cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will.
Okay.
Okay,
By the way, that just goes on and on and on and on. All right. So well, that's the first time I've ever heard someone do that at an actual political speech. My first thought was, did Hitler do that? Did Hitler do that? And then I went and looked at everything I could find, Hitler speeches that were recorded from Nuremberg rallies, and I didn't hear any background music while he was talking. Never could find it. But when you look at all the propaganda films about Hitler, even the Leni Riefenstahl Triumph of the Will from 1934, that was a big Nuremberg rally that she was commissioned to film, or anything about Hitler, it does have this kind of foreboding music. With that in mind, here's what Trump put out a month ago, and you'll hear it vividly here. Here you go. Go, 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 go. Come on. Come on, baby.
We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where the economy has been collapsing.
It's got some thunder mixed in with it too there.
In 2021 and in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon, and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it's taken from the United States to build a military to rival our own.
You get the point there. And I can't quite figure out whether that was a complete studio effort or whether that was from a rally. Then they mixed the music in later. But this is the next stage. This is the next bit of stagecraft that he is using. And of course, it's working at one level because, well, you're talking about it. You fell for it. Well, it's kind of good to notice when Hitler is coming to your town, that you shouldn't be dazzled or fooled by the bullshit. At the same time that he was speaking Saturday night and doing this at the end with the music swell behind him, the QAnon theme song that we've found out that it actually is.
How do you get that?
Everyone was standing there with their arm out and one finger up. So apparently, if you only have one finger out with your arm raised, that's not a Hitler salute.
That's not it.
That's not a Hitler salute. Wrong finger, Britt.
Oh, sorry.
You see, I did that for people that can't see. They know what I just did there because it does translate to the audio. I've heard this. It wasn't that finger.
Well, first of all, it sounds like the music that they put up behind, like when somebody's getting ready to kill somebody on CSI, like when the murderer's getting ready to stab. It sounds like that. And second of all, how can I find this on Pandora, Spotify, or my favorite music service, Brad? Am I able to stream this in my sleep?
I believe you are. If you just put in QAnon theme song into Google, you'll see it'll come up. It's got a name that is the reference to when one of us is fucked, we're all fucked. It's got some,
where we go one, we go all. Get it right.
Right. Well, wasn't I close? Wasn't I close? When one of us is fucked, we're all fucked. Isn't that what really?
Close enough.
But that's the takeaway from that. And of course, the other takeaway is that J.D. Vance really didn't want Trump there. Oz didn't want him there a couple weeks ago, but it doesn't matter. I'm coming. Okay. All right.
Doesn't he kind of kicks J.D. Vance's ass on stage and going, "Oh, the guy used to hate me, but now he's kissing my ass," or something like that? Isn't that what he said?
Well, it's not just that. It is a demonstration of the power of the dictator. You used to really know the truth about me and speak the truth about me, but I destroyed you. I crushed you. I took away your free will. You came back to me on bended knee. And now I'm going to get you elected senator. I am all powerful. That's what that is.
Aren't there like
That's all it is.
there's like a lot of Republicans who are like, if you could just not mention that the 2020 election was stolen, we can kind of just deal with what's going on now and how Joe
Too
Biden's
late.
an idiot and he's got. Can we just talk with that? Okay, no problem. The 2020 election was stolen from us, and it was and he does it every time. They're like, please,
part of it.
We're begging of you, don't talk about the 2020 election. Just kind of move forward and just talk about how J.D. Vance is going to do this and that and blah, 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 all this shit. Okay. And then he goes out there and immediately he just bitches about he's never lost an election, everything, blah, blah, blah. All that whole thing, right?
Right. Well, see, over the weekend, both the New York Times and the Washington Post went and talked to every person they could think of running for Senate or for governor in the United States right now, people at that level, and they asked all of them, will you accept the results of the election? And they published it, right? And the people who say they're going to accept the results of the election are the people you would expect, people who've said that they would, and that includes even Brian Kemp of Georgia, and Josh Shapiro up in Pennsylvania, Sherry Beasley, North Carolina, Tim Ryan, Ohio. Herschel Walker says, yes, he will accept the result of the election, along with Raphael Warnock. So that's about the only thing that Herschel Walker has taken off the table when he gets crushed in a debate. And I'm already thinking, Britt, that because Herschel Walker has preemptively said, I'm going to suck in the debate, I'm going to lose, okay? The game is going to be how mean Raphael Warnock was to him, how unfair, how disgusting Democrats, right? That's all they're going to be able to have. Now, Warnock is a very, very brilliant, clever, and just wonderful articulator of ideas. And he's certainly aware of that. So it doesn't really matter that he is going to take the high road. He is. But they're going to say not fair to Herschel. What do you think?
Of course.
Is that a guarantee?
Yeah, of course. You have to lower the expectations, and then it's the other guy's fault for kicking your ass. Absolutely.
And it will have nothing to do with the content, right?
No.
It'll be right, because if you talk about the content, Herschel Walker has no content, right?
Correct.
So here are the people who said, no, I will not accept the results of the election, or they didn't respond. And we're going to take the didn't respond as being actually yes, but I can't say yes, so I won't say anything, and you're not allowed to assume that I really would accept the results of the election. But they don't break down the no, did not respond into which one said no and did. They just put them all together as not saying yes, which I think is fair, right? We got to do that. And these are the people that you know and love: DeSantis, Mastriano up in Pennsylvania, Greg Abbott in Texas, the guy out in Arizona, Blake Masters, the woman out in Arizona, Carrie Lake, and Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, Marco Rubio, and Ted Budd, North Carolina. That's right. Ted Budd is in that group. So, Britt, let's go back to our original building blocks of the last few months. Ted Budd should be considered just as bad, if not worse, than any of those people that we just named as part of the no, did not respond list. But he's getting a pass. He is just, isn't it the most annoying thing ever that the guy is getting a pass on this stuff?
Well, the Ted Budd strategy, at least from his campaign, is please don't expose him. Don't let him speak at public events that much, so that people won't realize what a bleeding idiot this guy is, right? I think that's what they've tried to do, is to try to limit his public appearances and anything at all, and just try to skate by. It's really a brilliant strategy on their part, because the more exposure he gets, the more people are going to realize, oh, this guy is terrible. But at some point, you're going to figure out that he's terrible, I think.
Well, yeah, and I'm just wondering how the Democratic Party here in North Carolina is going to put enough pedal to the metal here to make that a very, very clear delineation. I mean, do you want a country or don't you want a country? It's almost that question now. Do you want a United States or do you not want a United States? And I know if we were right-wing talk show hosts, we'd be saying, do you want a country or do you not want a country? If you want a country, you vote for Trump and Republicans to save America and the Constitution and the rule of law to which they adhere. And the radical Democrats who want to run your life, they have to be stopped. I understand that. I understand that we're talking right past each other on issues of this sort. But I think we're on the side of the facts, and I think we're on the side of the truth here. And this list of the deniers is quite striking because some of them are within striking distance, if not ahead, in some of the polls in the states around the country. They're not all guaranteed to get blown out. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, I got a list here.
Yeah. Go for it.
DeSantis, cruel, cheap stunt versus brilliant tactic that brought the immigration crisis to the front pages. Which one? We want to vote. That's our poll question for today. Notice how you have to either decide it's the worst thing in the history of the world or it's the most brilliant piece of political strategy ever. He out-Trumped Trump. And you know how you can prove that he out-Trumped Trump, DeSantis did? Trump never mentioned it in Ohio on Saturday. If Trump wasn't jealous, he would have mentioned it. If Trump hadn't thought, God, why didn't I think of that? He would have said something. But he said nothing.
So we'll go with that as our first one on the list before we even go to another topic there. The great airlift, of course. He sent about 50 folks, mostly Venezuelan, to Martha's Vineyard. And it's just, as you talk about, it's the greatest thing of all time. However, there's a political article that says a lot of people who are hardcore Republicans in Miami-Dade County are kind of very silent about this. And it's not going over so well in heavily Republican Miami-Dade County, Brad.
Well, if Miami-Dade County would be inaccurately described as heavily Republican, because it's not, but okay.
The heavily Republican, hang on a second. Let me, because I think you've misconstrued what I said. There are parts of it that are heavily Republican. The Cuban community, for example, always is, and they're not real happy about this. They don't think it's a great
Republican
thing.
Part of Dade County.
Correct.
Right? They're not happy. Of course, you know what? And that's good. That's fair. That's
It
right.
is.
That's how they should be. But when you look at some of the facts about what went on, and these, by the way, remember, these are not illegal immigrants, okay? These were people who were already in the United States. They were seeking asylum. They are actually allowed to voluntarily travel within the United States, but they told all the reporters that they were misled. They were told they were just going to Boston, not Martha's Vineyard. I know in Texas and Florida, it's the same thing. No,
Sure.
It's not the same
Sure.
thing.
Right.
No. And they were told that when they got to Boston, a major city, that they would get expedited work papers. And the deal is, if they were misled, then you have a potential criminal violation here. You do have the possibility of fraud and false imprisonment and kidnapping. DeSantis, of course, is a liar and says they were not misled. He says they were given a map showing that the destination was Martha's Vineyard and described the flights as all voluntary. The lieutenant governor of Florida, whose name is Jeanette Nunez, said that it's categorically false that they were misled. Mm-hmm. But they were given this brochure, the migrants, that was just a bunch of gobbledygook, just a bunch of crap. And there is a group. It's obviously a right-wing group of folks who were in on this. They were called Popular Information by Lawyers for Civil Rights. You know what? You can just tell. You can just tell from the name
It's bullshit.
that this is a front group. And their brochure says that if you arrive in Massachusetts, you'll be eligible for numerous benefits, including 8 months cash assistance with housing, food, clothing, transportation to job interviews, job training, job placement. A little bit over the top, Britt? What do you think?
A little over the top. And again, these
Registering
are people
children for school, applying for Social Security cards. The only thing they left off was, and you'll get yourself an Obama phone. Everyone gets an Obama phone.
It goes without saying. Obviously,
all that's bullshit.
If you hand some people who just came to the United States a map, they're not really going to be able to tell much about it. If you handed me a map of Venezuela, I couldn't tell you like one city from another. That's stupid. And also, these are people who would supposedly espouse Christian values. There were newborns and infants on this flight that they just kind of threw them on a plane and took them somewhere. I mean, I don't think
there you go. Oh, playing your left-wing selective Christian card there, huh, liberal? Huh?
It's weird. I don't think Jesus said, bring me your poor and then fuck them and put them on a plane and get them out of here. I don't think he said that. Right. I'm pretty sure.
That's because there weren't planes then, Britt. But if there were.
He would have got them. He would have got those poor people out of there and sent them over to the Pharisees. Here, take care of these kids.
So we dug up a Boston-based immigration attorney named Matt Cameron, who said that everything that I just listed that they were promised, that is available. Those are available to refugees who've been referred by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and authorized to live in the United States. They're not available to the migrants who were flown to Massachusetts, who are still in the process of seeking asylum. So the way I look at it, they're dead to the world, DeSantis and his cohorts, for trying to pull this shit off. They don't have access to cash, and this is what the immigration attorney in Boston says. And they make the brochure look like an official government document. Of course they do. So we'll see. But I really hate the fact that this is just it's a binary choice here. You either salute Ron DeSantis for being the brilliant tactician for getting the problems with integration back onto the front page with his name on it, and getting every media outlet to cover this, not just Fox News. That's just so brilliant, and now he owns that issue, and that's going to help him come 2024. And wow, or it's the worst thing that's ever been done in the history of the United States. There's something in between there, which is basically, Ron DeSantis is a demagogue, not just in training, but he's a graduate student already. And if he thinks that the descriptions of him, and I've not read the big long piece that was in the New York Times Sunday magazine about DeSantis yet. I haven't gotten to that yet. But I reject the idea that he's just Trump without the baggage. That's too simplistic. That's too easy. He's Trump without the baggage. He's way smarter than Donald Trump. He really does have a good education, and he knows exactly what to do. And there's one problem. He is incredibly unlikable. He is a creepy guy. He does not have the shtick. He does not have it. He does not have that. Now, maybe that can be overcome. Maybe that's what we want. Maybe we want silent Cal Coolidge, who probably wasn't as silent as we thought him to be. That's all we know him from. That's his nickname on the milk cartons, right? He's never spoke. But I think DeSantis is going to have a personality problem, but we'll see.
He's been able to overcome that in a statewide race in a very, very large state. I mean, he's been able to overcome the unlikability. Again, if you go to a national race, it's going to be way different, but still.
Well, hang on. Remember, he won the governor's race by the thinnest of margins ever. Okay. And he ran against a very, very flawed candidate, right? That guy who has been the governor of or the mayor of Andrew
Gillen was that the guy's name? Andrew Gillen?
Right, Gillen, who had drug problems, and turned out he really not the best candidate to run against DeSantis. So he barely won. I don't know. We'll see. He did win the race in Florida. I get that, but that was then. This is now.
I'm not disagreeing with you that he's extremely unlikable. I mean, he's very unlikable. I get that, but they've been able to, the guys that handle him have been able to kind of wallpaper that over for a period of time.
Yeah, but when you run for president, it's way different than running for governor of Florida. You really do get exposed full on for what your personality is, and you will not be able to be in prepared situations all the time. You'll not be able to insulate yourself. Although, we may end up with the kind of presidential race, whoever it is, where you're going to see what's going on around the country in a lot of races, particularly up in Pennsylvania, where Doug Mastriano does not allow the press into any of his events. You'll notice you don't see any coverage of any rallies or anything of that sort. He's just basically kicked everyone out. Now, who does that remind you of? Does that remind you of Hitler or Stalin or any kind of dictatorship where they completely control access to themselves? It's bad enough that the only interviews that the guy will ever do will be on Fox. It's bad enough. But then when you have events that are open to the public and you're somehow able to not permit members of the media in there, except for the right-wing hack jobs, we're going down a nasty road here, Britt.
Oh yeah,
we're going down real,
and we're well down it. We're well down the road. By the way, we're not just starting it.
But can't you see a nominee like DeSantis trying to do that, even running for president? I just said a minute ago, when you run for president, it's different. You can't hide. But you know what? Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Of course, they'll say, "Oh, what about Joe Biden? He stayed in his basement the whole time." He did not. He fucking didn't. He was out there. He was making speeches. He was going to, even if it was just flying to Atlanta and showing up at a movie theater where they did those outdoor things. He was out there. So it's just different. It's just different if they're going to completely close off any coverage of events. But I can see them trying to pull that. Can't you?
Of course,
we have to do it that way. We can't trust CNN. We can't trust NBC. We can't trust them. Can't trust them to tell the truth. So you can't come. You're not allowed in. I can see them doing that.
One minor detail as we go through things that we missed when we were not recording over the past several days. Of course, everyone knows that Kenneth Starr died over the last several days. The guy who drug down Bill Clinton. Brad, where did Kenneth Starr get his law degree again?
Did he go to Duke?
Yeah, Duke University. Just thought I'd point that out. Duke University. Part of the Duke problem. Also, the judge who okayed the special master in the case, Duke University. Stephen Miller, the Goebbels of the 21st century, Duke University. Richard Nixon, Duke University Law School. Just a few things I like to, from time to time, remind you of.
I give up. That's 4. You know what? Four is not an accident, even if that's over a 70-year period. But
the Stephen Miller one is especially disturbing because he came 3,000 miles to find his people. He's all the way in frickin' California, and they have a lot of great asshole universities in California for him to attend. He said, no. This one, 3,000 miles away, that's the one I need to go to. And they airlifted him. DeSantis got him on a plane, and that's not what happened at all.
Speaking of law, you've heard of the law firm Jones Day. Does that ring a bell to you?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And by the way, their headquarters are in Cleveland,
Okay.
but they're not known these days for their Cleveland headquarters. They're known for being the biggest producer of right-wing fuckface lawyers in the country, including many who circled through the Trump administration, some of them going back to Jones Day, including Don McGahn, who was Trump's first White House counsel, who finally said, "No, Moss, I'm going back to private practice about halfway through Trump's administration during the Mueller investigation period. But a guy's written a book about this law firm. They are just plain evil. It's called Dark Towers.
Wow.
Dark Towers. I'm sorry, that's his previous book. That was about Trump's relationship with Deutsche Bank. His name is David Enrich, and he's got the new book here. It's called Servants of the Damned. That's what it is. Servants of the Damned. Makes a lot more sense. They decided, after being kind of a nonpartisan law firm for forever, that in 2015 they'd get into the business of politics. And they hooked up and they became the official law firm of Trump's campaign. So during the campaign, they were heavily involved. That's how Don McGahn then transitioned over to be Trump's White House attorney. And McGahn was probably the guy that came up with the tell everybody that Obama bugged your office, bugged your campaign. Work with that one. That'll work. But even up to today, there's some conflict inside the law firm because everybody wasn't on board with Trump. There wasn't a job requirement to get a job there years ago. So they had a lot of people who said, what the fuck is going on here? They've had people resign and but it's kind of an interesting story that it's just one law firm. It's like Duke University, one law firm is the cause of so much trouble. It's probably a good book.
In his book, he has a story about how Donald Trump wouldn't pay a bill back in the 90s, and he tried to give them a horse. It was a $2 million bill. He said he was going to give them a stallion that was worth $5 million. Somehow the law firm said, we won't. We don't want your horse. We would like to have our $2 million, please.
Well, so that was a mistake. They should have taken the horse.
And this little nugget also from the past few days, you saw the story about this one. It's going to be in, I think, Maggie Haberman's book that's coming out before Christmas, I believe. When they started talking all this bullshit about buying Greenland, apparently Trump floated the idea of trading them Greenland for Puerto Rico straight up. That was one of the things that he was serious. I know this all sounds hilarious, but a lot of the bullshit that came out of his head and he vomited forth, it turned into actual real policy that affected people and roiled the waters, right?
Well, I don't think we ever doubted that was a real story when it came out, because it's not something that you would make up.
No.
You wouldn't make that up. And only Trump would actually think that something like that, that might make sense. That really might make some sense. And then, of course, after it gets trashed and laughed at by everyone, he then accuses the fact that the story got out as the problem. That's how many times has that happened, Britt? How many times?
All of the times.
All the times. The problem is never the content and the outrage and the disgrace. It's the fact that we found out about it. That's always the issue.
Greenland for Puerto Rico straight up. It doesn't really sound like he's trying to get rid of brown people, does it? Hey, look, this Greenland place has a lot of white folks, and Puerto Rico place has a lot of brown people. Let's get rid of the brown people and replace them. Hey, it's brown replacement theory, Brad.
Yeah, right. It's funny. About 2 weeks ago, we were talking with our kids. Maybe we should all go somewhere together on vacation. They're
fun.
They're grown up, but we haven't done that kind of a thing for about 10 years. They were younger then. And I was looking at Puerto Rico.
Sure.
Looking at Puerto Rico because, they'd essentially rebuilt, certainly where tourists like us would be. That's fine, I'm sure. And we were never going to do it, but I thought, well, and now poor Puerto Rico, again, just getting obliterated. I'm sure Dominican Republic is also getting obliterated. Same hurricane with all that rain. And if Puerto Rico was an actual state, it would be a lot easier to get them the kind of aid and the kind of help with rebuilding and hardening infrastructure than they're going to be able to get this time, because it doesn't matter what Joe Biden and the Congress do, it's going to not be enough, right? So the Republican take will be, well, you went after Trump because Biden, you can just see it. You can see all these things coming down the track. It's just a question of when. And however long it was before Trump went there and threw paper towels at the Puerto Ricans, someone will count. And if Joe Biden hasn't gone to Puerto Rico in fewer days than it took Trump to go there, then what will the story be? Biden, who complained about Donald Trump in Puerto Rico because they'll find something that he said about Trump then, he hasn't gone either. Or he sent Kamala Harris, right? Don't send her. Go yourself. You see all this stuff in the embryonic stage.
Just play a loop of stupid ass throwing the paper towels to those people. If people want to criticize Joe Biden for that shit, just show him look like he's trying at a free throw contest, throwing bounty paper towels at people. Jesus Christ.
It doesn't matter. All right. How about Mike Lindell loses legal pillow fight motion? Mike Lindell loses legal pillow fight motion. Today, Monday, in district court up in Minnesota, a district court judge denied Mike Lindell of My Pillow, who had filed a motion to throw out the lawsuit that was thrown at him by the voting technology company Smartmatic. They're on him and they're up his ass, and Lindell, like Trump, thinks that every lawsuit against him should be thrown out. When, of course, the fact is, no, they shouldn't. They're almost always legitimate. It's when they file lawsuits, they file bullshit lawsuits. Bullshit lawsuits are not filed against them. So on it goes. Don't they want like billions of dollars? Like
they don't mess around when it comes to the legal stuff. They've gotten several networks to issue apologies and to shut up. And there's a lot of pending litigation. Whatever law firm they're using, Smartmatic, they're kicking ass and taking names. They don't fuck around. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to his justification for why he thought that the lawsuit should be tossed. His argument was that Smartmatic did not adequately plead the defamation claim and that the deceptive trade practices claim fails because Lindell was acting in a personal, not professional capacity, right? So remember, the lawsuit is against Lindell, and Smartmatic says he was engaging in deceptive trade practices. Lindell says, well, you can't do that because I was acting personally, not professionally, when I was lying about the 2020 election and dragging your good name, Smartmatic, into my arguments. The judge was having none of it. The judge was having none of that bullshit. Judge's name, Wilhelmina Wright. On we go. So poor Mike Lindell. Better get yourself a better team of lawyers. You're going to need them because this could be the end of My Pillow. There'll be a lot of availabilities. We call them avails in the media business on Fox News every night because I think he fills up about half of them. When you're flipping by at night, have you ever noticed if you go by Fox, there's about a 1 in 4 chance that, first of all, you're going to be in a commercial break, and then there's a 2 in 3 chance that during that break it'll be a My Pillow guy commercial. I mean, he probably has the lowest per commercial spot rate of any advertiser in the history of everything, right? Because they just run it over and over again. He's not paying any kind of premium price there in the evening.
Isn't that the game though? Is it like he just waits till they the last minute and they've got the availability and that therefore he has the leverage? They got to put something in there and they'll just take something from him. He doesn't buy it like well in advance or anything like that, right?
Well, look, they have a love-hate thing working anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure he knows that all of his success is based on the advertising he did there. So you're giving him too much credit, Britt, for being a sophisticated media buyer. Okay? he's a recovered whatever drug problem that he had. Which, by the way, we finished watching Dope Sick last night.
Right.
And I was not aware, didn't realize this, that one of Rudy Giuliani's clients along the road, right after his fame from being America's mayor, when he opened that consultancy and was out on his own, just trying to cash in on the fame that he got from being there at 9/11 on that day, that one of his clients was, in fact, Purdue Pharma, the wonderful folks who bring the world OxyContin.
Mm-hmm.
He was willing to lie for them then. So this idea that Rudy Giuliani, just in the last few years, with his relationship with Trump, that's where he went down. No. He went down the minute that when his political career was about to come to a crashing end after 2 terms in New York, and it was over, and he wasn't going to go anywhere from there. He was never going to be governor of New York. I think he tried that a couple times. He tried to run against Andrew Cuomo. I think
he tried to run for president, and that was a screeching failure.
That was in 2008. Yeah. I think he holds the record for the most expensive delegate.
Correct.
The ratio of money spent to get one delegate. I think he got one delegate in Florida.
We've mentioned this before.
$70 million. Yeah.
We've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. He was not a popular mayor before 9/11. He was not. He kicked his wife out of the mayor's mansion. He was not very popular, and he benefited greatly from the leadership that he showed at 9/11. And then post 9/11, as you point out, he was a big fat nothing.
Well, he was in, quote, private industry for a long time, but obviously had an inkling and a need to get back into public life. And, in 2008, here's how lame Rudy Giuliani was. He couldn't not just past the front door, but he was just laughed at.
Yeah,
he was laughed at, and I think that's that may have been the really beginning of the end for him. But we'll see. But I did. Did you know about the Purdue Pharma relationship till you saw that?
No, I didn't. And as great as Michael Keaton was in Dope Sick, I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy that plays the head of the Sackler family, that guy's tremendous, right?
He reminded me of Richard Kind playing it straight.
He's so creepy. He's very robotic and unfeeling. He's just absolutely unfeeling, uncaring that he's killing all of these people and just raking in tons of money. Plus, he's trying to keep his dysfunctional family from going to war and just trying to pay people over here and pay people over here.
Yeah. But it's I mean, Giuliani's probably going to end up in prison.
I hope so.
I mean, he's pretty old. They might not send guys who are like 79 or 80 to prison.
No, I'm tired of that being an excuse. I don't give a fuck how old you are.
It's not me talking. It's me.
I'm tired of people. Oh, Your Honor, he's an old man. Like we're supposed to give some sort of quarter because he ran out the clock on doing bad shit, and he was able to do it for decades. So now he's pretty old.
Britt,
so please have mercy.
It works with Nazi guards every time.
Every single time. Brad, they were just taking orders.
Yeah.
And that's it for us today.
That's all. That's enough trouble for one day.
I got to go order a My Pillow. I got to order a My Pillow while I can.
I just got to figure out how I can watch 2 football games at once tonight. It's going to be hard. I'll be able to do it just like the way I was able to watch Ohio State football and Don Trump. I can watch both games.
Yeah, you can do it. Way to go, Boomer.
Which not that I need. I do have picture in picture, so I can
you do. You got that. You should be. You have that.